A lot of us, myself included, struggle with feeling happiness and contentment. It always seems to come in waves. A joyful time with friends, relishing in accomplishment, or that high you feel when the person you like likes you back. But just as quickly as this feeling comes, it also disappears. Maybe it makes our living experience enjoyable for a while, but soon enough, it seems like we're back to that dull, mundane feeling of existence. And we find ourselves wanting more, like we can never have enough. And I don't know about y'all, but it seems like no matter what phase of life I'm in, I find myself looping back to this same dilemma time and time again. When I was an insecure teenager in high school that didn't like who I was, when I was a lost college student paralyzed by the thought of being an adult, when I was a working young adult trying to find my place in the world, even now, being the best, most up-to-date version of myself that my previous iterations yearned for, I still find myself in episodes of discontent thinking, is this it? Is this all there is to life? Why can I never seem to be happy with my own existence? And it got me thinking, a lot of us chase happiness because we believe that that's what we want. But what if we're mistaking that quote-unquote happiness with something else entirely? What if what we're seeking isn't happiness, but instead relief? Relief from discomfort, relief from pain, relief from the negative emotions we're feeling. And what if our desire for relief is the reason why we can never seem to find happiness and contentment in our lives? As your self-proclaimed older brother figure on the internet, let me share my thoughts in hopes that'll make your life even a little bit better. And there's nothing like being a big brother than annoyingly trying to live vicariously through the younger generation. One of the things I regret is not having developed a skill when I was younger. As a kid, learning the piano felt nerdy, learning to sing felt girly, and doing things that weren't video games were boring. And as an adult, damn do I wish I had cool skills to show off. So don't be like me. Try to pick up a craft early in the game. Let Kuya here put you on today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest learning community that'll set you up for success as you hone your creative endeavors. Choose from thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. Maybe if I was skilled enough in drawing, I could have made some insanely aesthetic clothing designs and started a fashion brand. Or maybe if I knew how to take better photos, my girlfriend wouldn't flame me whenever I take a picture of her. You won't have to deal with that because Skillshare's got you, and Kuya here is about to hook you up. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So go ahead and pursue those creative endeavors in my place. My goal as a Kuya is to crawl so y'all could run. So be free. It's the end of the line for me. Thank you forever. Thank you Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So I was planning to write this script a couple days earlier on my day off. I had woken up pretty early with no alarm, so my mind was fresh, well-rested, and ready for some intense, introspective, and thought-provoking writing. I was all set up for a productive day. And guess what? I ended up rotting in bed that entire day, getting nothing done. And why is that? What happened? Let's take a look at what went down. So there I was, getting ready to get out of bed. I had a whole game plan ready. Make breakfast, start writing, go to the gym, finish writing, go to bed feeling accomplished and with one less thing to stress about. But then, my mind started racing. Would this even be a good topic to write about? It feels like there's so much to decompress and talk about regarding this topic. How do I make it more concise? How should I word it so that the audience would want to click on the video and continue watching? With how time-consuming making videos is, how do I balance this out with all my other obligations? All these thoughts came rushing in, and all of a sudden, what was originally energized inspiration to work became anxious energy and anticipatory discomfort. So what did I do? I went on my phone. I started scrolling, watching YouTube videos, convincing myself that I'll get started in quote-unquote a little bit, whatever that meant. Then I would fall asleep, wake up, repeat the cycle, and before I knew it, the day was already over. Let's break this down further. The thought of making YouTube videos brought about feelings that caused discomfort. Wanting relief from that discomfort, I went on my phone to distract myself with dopamine hits, because dopamine feels good and my brain is wired to want to feel good all the time. Wanting to continue not feeling discomfort, I continued to distract myself until the day ended. And then I went to bed not having done anything and feeling worse than I did before. This is a typical feedback loop we find ourselves falling into on a regular basis. But here's the thing. Relief isn't happiness. It's instant gratification. And it's never been easier to find instant gratification in this day and age. Likes on social media, comfort eating, doom scrolling, shopping online, vaping, drinking, hookups. There are so many avenues to feeling pleasure, and the more we condition ourselves to seek instant gratification, the harder it becomes to find happiness and contentment. Why do people like fast food? Because it's fast, easy, convenient, and tastes really good. The downsides? It has no nutritional substance, and the more you consume, the more unhealthy you'll become. Instant gratification is no different. It is fast food for your mind and your soul, and it's become so deeply ingrained and normalized in our society, we don't even question it. But when you take a minute to really think about it, you'll realize it's quite bizarre, at least in my opinion. Do you not find it strange that the moment you feel some sort of discomfort, whether that be stress, anxiety, or even boredom, your first inclination is to hit a vape or go on your phone? And it would be one thing if these acts were harmless, but they have a cascade of negative long-term consequences that manifest as a lot of the issues our generation struggles with today. I get really heated about this stuff, so I could keep going on and on about these issues, but let's bring it back to the topic at hand. When you condition yourself to seek instant gratification, you raise your baseline for pleasure, which in turn numbs your sensitivity to real joy and distracts you from the root of your issues. When was the last time you just sat with those negative emotions instead of trying to relieve yourself from them through instant gratification? When was the last time you took a moment to ask yourself, why do I keep feeling the way I feel? What is it about my life that's causing me to experience the same negative emotions? Do I really want to live a life where I'm dependent on substances that give me hits of dopamine to feel good? And when was the last time you earnestly searched for the answer instead of putting it off and running away? Here's the reality check. You won't find peace in relief. You're just trapping yourself in a vicious cycle. Deep-rooted issues cause unpleasant feelings to well up. You temporarily relieve yourself from those issues through instant gratification. Instant gratification distracts you from confronting the root issue, causing it to persist instead of going away. Rinse and repeat. Except, the more you loop yourself into this cycle, the harder it is to get yourself out. The other day, I was on break at work. I was nearing the end of my shift, and while I waited for the time to hit 3:30 p.m., which is when the next patient would arrive, I was laying on a bench under the shade of a tree, looking up at the clouds. As a gentle breeze made the leaves of the tree rustle, I couldn't help but appreciate the moment. The golden hour glow of my surroundings, the ambiance of traffic passing by, the momentary respite of stillness during a busy day of seeing patients, and the anticipation of the end of another day of work. It was a pleasant, tranquil feeling, subtle enough that I needed to be truly present to appreciate it, and it served as a gentle reminder of something I had forgotten. That for me, true happiness and contentment comes in these small, quiet moments, not in the loud and extravagant bursts of dopamine, the drives back home from work, the deep states of focus where I get stuff done, the intimate and private moments where I make meaningful memories with loved ones, the instances of connecting with someone I'm getting to know, the cozy moments of being in the comforts of my own safe space after being out and about. These slow, quiet, and subtle moments can be found scattered throughout our day, but it's easy to take them for granted when your baseline of pleasure is so high. You may even find them boring because they're not as dopamine-inducing as the things you're accustomed to. But that just goes back to the issue at hand. The overarching sense of happiness we're looking for, which is peace and contentment, is something we already have in our everyday lives. We just can't appreciate it for what it is because we're so intoxicated by the things that grant us instant gratification. You know that feeling of boredom throughout your day? That's peace, quiet, stillness, an avenue for rest from the hustle and bustle of life, or an opportunity for mental and spiritual growth. And yet, how easily do we throw it away because we can't stand that initial discomfort? But it's in these moments where you get your deepest rest and discover your most profound thoughts. Ones such as this: you can only be as happy as you're willing to be unhappy. What if we weren't meant to be happy all the time? We, as humans, have been given a whole array of emotions, both positive and negative. What if we're denying the authenticity of the human experience by trying to select for certain emotions over others? And what if that's the reason why we don't feel whole? Because we're only selecting certain parts of what it means to be human. What if this array of emotions we've been given are designed to be complementary, not adversarial? That is to say, we need to experience one emotion in order to feel the other. The solution then to our happiness and contentment dilemma is to embrace discomfort, to not shy away from the pain, hardship, and suffering that comes from the things we've been so desperately trying to escape from. Because the beautiful, fulfilling experiences we're searching for are at the other side of the tunnel. Only by experiencing its cold, bitter darkness will we have an authentic appreciation for the bright warmth of light at the other side. Relishing every facet of the human experience is what will make us truly feel alive. That is why, in a world seeking instant gratification, in a world of hedonistic pleasure and distraction that leads people into their own self-destruction, choose to be different. Alright, that's all for now. Take care, guys. See you next time.